You're good.
So here's my project. It is a language lesson tracker. I had originally planned on something a bit more ambitious, but I had problems with one of the roots. Will help me figure it out, but not with enough time to um, get the completed project done. So this is my login and registration page. Has the error messages. Don't know what all you want me to show you, but so
Yeah, just sort of creating somebody showing the error messages in the solo project presentations. It's just kind of describing the concept, the tech stack you
mhm.
use, demonstrate it, kind of how it's working, and then what's the hardest part and what you learn when building it.
So those were all the error messages. So like this one, and also okay, so this is kind of what it looks like to have a basic thing. You have your add your target language right here, which you can do. I did a drop down menu for the language levels so that um, you don't have a lot of confusion on what it is because it's hard to describe languages. Submit, it comes up here, um, and then you can edit it. Comes up. Okay. Then you have a list of all the language lessons posted by people. And this lets you know kind of what they did for things and stuff like that. I had wanted to set up comments for it, didn't get around to it because, life got in the way. You can also create a new language lesson. So it'd be like, here's what I've been working on. I worked on, uh, eight. And then it posts down here at the bottom. And because it's mine, I can edit it or delete it. So the it's pretty straightforward. The things that I thought were the hardest back in the original project, there were part of it was being a bit too ambitious on a short time frame, trying to figure out some things that were about routing and stuff and getting something back from the SQL and figuring out and how to do the troubleshooting. I thought was the hardest but most interesting part of it. Um, what else was I supposed to do?
Yeah, anything in particular that you learned from doing this? Any new
Um,
information?
well, like I said, on the thing that I wound up creating, not so much. It was the project that failed that really gave me more lessons. You learn more from failures than successes, right? So, like I said, on that one, it was about figuring out the proper time management for the time given. And then there was about the troubleshooting that I had to go over with you to, um, because it was giving back stuff that I couldn't figure out, and I had to get more eyes on it. Any questions from anyone else? That's something in chat.
Nothing in chat, but other than the comments, is there anything? I like this idea because you can kind of, decide and see, okay, what language, can I learn? And maybe you have friends. And I think, there's a lot of science behind just speaking the language is much
Mhm.
better than just reading it in the same way that coding is better than just watching a lot of tutorials.
Mm.
So other than the comments, is there anything else you want to add in?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do was to automatically fill in like your choice of languages from what you had registered as your target languages.
Mhm.
So that was going to be something else that I was going to work on. Um, the other project was also language related. That was about trying to do language exchanges so that you like posted and could do that. And I could see that as being like a separate section on this, but like that would definitely be kind of a um like a separate project, separate but related project tacked onto this. So I mean, there are a lot of things that you could do with this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. Great. Thanks so much, Eric. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So is Nathan here? Nathan is not here. So Jacob, I saw your message that you wanted to go. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Perfect.
Just
Is there anybody here that hasn't gone yet that's not on my list for today? I think everybody else here is gone, other than the people that are on my list, obviously, but
screen. Can y'all see everything?
yeah, we can. Wow, cool background.
Thank you. A little bit of image help with that one, but it's I pretty much I want to scale this to be like a music collection website. So the name would change, but I want to scale it to be like where people can put individual audio files set to a key and a tempo. So you can kind of formulate your own songs with, you know, your friends or just random people on the internet. But as of now, it is a bad band names website. And I've got the register component here. Let's see. The dude, and he's a cool dude. He's got his own website. And register it through that. And the only thing I haven't really got down with the login and registration is you can edit and delete any band that has been put in, and it's not user specific. So I'm having to kind of figure that out with my validations, or not validations, but like my what is it? Let's see. Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm trying to figure out basically how to make each individual band on display all. Like I've got it kind of, I thought I had it figured out here, but it ended up not really working out for me. But as of now, you can add a website. I've got the Kiggity Bippies here, the Howdy Partners. They say howdy to every partner they meet. They're pretty cheap too.
Hey, pretty cheap.
But I can create a band here. Oopsie daisy, I got all the cheesy names. They're even cheaper. We've been paid in exposure.
That's funny.
And ready for the battle of the bands. You can create it. See it right there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Look into it. It's pretty basic. It's pretty much your basic form website, but with a cool little background.
Yeah. I also see when you look at the band, it seems like if you go to the actual band itself, that the band name, is there some like shadows on the back of the?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in my CSS, let's see. I've got it in in the header right here.
Yeah, it's cool.
But the text shadow, it really helped kind of pop it out of there so it wouldn't really blend in. So
yeah,
I didn't put it on these, but yeah.
No, I think I don't think it necessarily needs that. Maybe the blue with the yellow could have.
Contrast pretty.
Yeah, but other than that, Only because, and this is something for everybody, there's some interesting color combinations you don't do.
Right.
And that's for accessibility because people like myself, I'm not fully colorblind, but I have a really hard time differentiating between certain colors. And
Right.
so when looking at colors, you know, there's a whole world you can get into about what is good and what is bad and what is good for colorblind and colorblindness. And
Right.
also what evokes a bad, like I've said it before, but the Android green on an iPhone is a color that is scientifically proven, or scientifically proven, i.e., they've done studies, and it is something that is detestable to most humans. So,
I,
and the blue
I
is calming. So,
when I heard you say that, I think it was like the third day of
mhm.
lecture. I think I heard you say that, and I've told my brothers, all that have iPhones, about
Yeah,
that. I was like, "Look at
yeah,
you, you're the
yeah,
enemies."
yeah,
But yeah, that's pretty much my website. Nothing too special, but I think it could be scalable, and I figured out the hardest thing to do was for me login and registration. I still haven't fully figured it out, but I think I'm on the verge of, as long as I can get these bands specific to the IDs, I'll be looking pretty good.
yeah.
But
Looks awesome.
thank you. Um, and I learned login and registration. That's what I learned during this whole thing. I didn't do the practice assignment in JavaScript, and I paid the price for it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're always learning 24/7. So that is very good. Just to keep on keeping on.
thank
That's
you.
awesome. Looks really great, Jacob. Looks really great. Cool. Okay. So on my list, I have got Jason or Mitchell. Mitchell, I have you up next, but you said that you were working on something. Did you get it fixed or would you like Jason to go?
Yeah, we got it. I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead, my friend.
Sweet. Let me share my screen. And this one. All right, can you all see?
Yep, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so the idea for the site is called Cosplay City. It's meant to be like a middle point between a social media and like a database or like a kind of community hub specifically for cosplay and cosplay like adjacent folks. So like photographers or commission takers, like wig makers, whatnot. But we do have a login and registration. I'll go ahead and jump on here. And we can see we got a little home page where people have posted their cosplays, and you can kind of see all the different ones. If you want to like look at them a little bit more closely, you can kind of pan over them and scroll to see the whole list. They're sorted by the cosplay or however the specific user wants to sort them. And so I've got an example further down here. This one is specifically like this one is a build where there's like some of the process, whatnot. Here we can go ahead. We've got a home page, a profile page up here. This is mine on here that I've got. You can see my basic info up here, what we've got coming up, and all of the different clusters that I have. This is kind of the main concept of how to organize. This is not supposed to do that. Okay. But this is the main idea of what sets this apart from like Instagram is actually being able to sort and say, have all of your media and whatnot for a specific cosplay in one specific spot so that it's not spread over a sea of photos like Instagram or if someone uses like TikTok or something, they can, a lot of times things tend to get lost on those apps. So I can go back here and we have a little bit of an edit button up here. So this is not, I don't love the way this ended up being formatted on here, styled, but it got the job done and I was feeling a little stretched. So we made it work. Here we have all of the things that are upcoming. These have full CRUD for them. So here oh, that was supposed to be erased as well. Whoops. Let's say I actually want to do link from Quaker instead. I can do that. And here we can see upcoming. I'm going to do that one instead. Let's say link is overdone. I don't want to do him anymore. Get him out of there. He's gone. And then I
That's
can go back
awesome.
to my profile and no longer on there.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is really,
Um,
really great. When you say
thanks.
add new, is that doing the same thing with the
Yeah,
big
so
plus?
that's a new way to add a new cluster. I can go ahead and be like, here, let's see, I don't have any more here. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and log out real quick and create a new account. I did plan, well, first off, let's just show we've got all our validations that won't go through. I'm signed out right now, so I can't go to new cluster. I can't do that. It'll say, yeah, you must be logged in to see that. I can't say, hey, let's delete cluster 4. Yeah, well, that's not an option anyways, because that's a get. So anyways, let's do
But that's a good thing to have because somebody could have Postman and do a post request
yeah.
to your website. So the fact that you're
Yeah.
blocking that's still great.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the idea. Right there. And this one. So I'm going to go ahead and make an account for my roommate. He is out of town, so he can't stop me. Just call him email. Email. In fact, I'm going to actually just, oops, those don't match. Now they do, so we're good. Okay, so he's gonna go ahead. You can see on here, and I don't know if you noticed, there was a little edit button up here for when I was signed into my account for the clusters that I made. We'll go ahead and make another one for him. Here he is. He hasn't updated his bio and doesn't have a profile photo or anything yet. Justin doesn't have any upcoming projects. But let's go ahead and give him a new cluster first. So he's gonna be Goku. And we can go do these. Upload all 3 of those. Submit. Now we got his Goku cluster. And we can see it up there. Got a little edit option up here in case you wanted to change some business. This unfortunately doesn't work great, the editing on the clusters, because one of the things that I found out is really, really tough is uploading photos and file uploads and whatnot. They tend to get a little weird. And so I'm not going to show that right now just because it does kind of mess with things. But I can go here. And he doesn't need a buyer right now. But there he is.
Very
Oh,
impressive.
that's what I want to do here. So here's that edit button on the one that's his. And yeah, that's kind of what we got.
Well, this is really impressive. This is like
Thanks.
already working. You could have friends using this. This is great.
I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
definitely was overambitious and didn't realize what 2 weeks means.
Yeah.
So
That's usually how it goes. Is there anything, I hope that you're going to continue with this project.
Yeah,
Is there
definitely.
anything you want to add to it or you could
I think-
foresee?
Yeah, I would love to, like, one of the big things is I wanted this to be a carousel. And so instead of having to like drag this cursor down here, where you can kind of just like click on the image over here and it would automatically scroll over. That's a feature that I was really wanting to do. I would love to I would love to improve the editing of these clusters a little bit better because they
Sure.
are clunky with having to, you basically have to re-upload your photos.
Totally.
And if those photos are already saved in the system, like their name is, then it won't upload them properly. And so
Sure.
I'd like to, there's some little things like that that kind of could have some improved functionality, but
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, my original project proposal, I had like a billion things that I was like, these are stretch goals, but maybe I'll get to them in 2 weeks. No, like,
Yeah,
not a
it's
chance.
typical.
But,
That's very
yeah.
normal.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things I'd like to get on there, but yeah, I'm definitely ready to jump on the group project and put this down for maybe a little moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you use Bootstrap or did you use any like
This is
just
all
native?
native CSS.
Oh wow.
Do I have this open?
Yeah, so I was gonna say because Bootstrap has a pretty easy carousel that you could just put in.
Yeah, I
so it
found
might.
I found a resource that would have helped me. I found a resource to do the carousel. I just, with everything else, like, was so down to the wire on time.
Yeah, it makes
Um,
sense.
But I was glad to find that these hovers are a really cool thing, and that wasn't too hard to do. So
Yeah, it's very cool. Any questions for Mitchell? This is incredible. Great job. I am so blown away. Everybody has done just such like it makes me so ecstatic just to see everybody's. I mean, all of you guys have crushed it. So way to go.
well, thanks. I appreciate it, and I think everyone does as well.
Awesome. Well, way to go, Mitchell. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And again, anytime you guys can do things that, you know, you guys are happy about and excited about, and like, I'm assuming, because I saw those photos that you do cosplay, so that's something
Yeah.
that's encouraging, right? If it was something that is super boring to you,
Right.
you're not going to want to build that. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you guys.
That's
you know,
definitely like the idea came from some of my frustrations with the apps that we do have.
sure.
So yeah, very much.
That is how a lot of really good apps are made, and that's how a lot of really good programming languages are made. Is people get frustrated because it's like, man, this is great, but I need this, and
Exactly.
then everybody else is like, I need this too, and they're like, well, then I'm gonna make it, and then you become a billionaire like Zuckerberg. So awesome, way to go. Okay, Jason, I've got you next, my friend.
Sure.
The floor is
Let's
yours.
see. Oh. Sorry, my screen's going crazy here. Okay,
You're good.
so you guys can see now.
Yep. We can see your GitHub and you doing localhost.
All right, so this is Compression Companion. I'm highly involved in downhill mountain biking, racing, riding, and with that comes a lot of just adjustments with to kind of fine tune your suspension. Basically, these bikes are like small dirt bikes, so you're trying to track the ground. So suspension has various settings like compression, dampening, rebound speed, and adjusting those things depending on where you're riding, especially for racing, highly important. And it gets to be a lot of data to keep track of. For example, I just use my notepad in my phone. So what I did is created an application that would allow you to, for now, just kind of like create set suspension setups, track them, fine tune them. And I use a MERN stack. This is my login and reg page. I've got some validations going, basic rider profile, things that would pertain to establishing a suspension setup. What's this? Okay. So this is my dashboard page. Still kind of like, I guess, like what Mitchell said, the login and reg is kind of one of the hardest parts because it's hard to, I guess, get down to the finer level abstraction. And like, for example, I can log in, but I haven't figured out how to pass the user information in to populate here, depending on who's logged in. But otherwise, this is your dashboard page you would arrive at. you can create a new setup. For example, you go. I haven't got images working quite yet. I think I'm almost there. Blaze through this form real quick. As you can see, it's kind of like a lot, and these are all adjustments, like basically via clicks of different knobs.
Yeah, way more goes into it than I think I probably anticipated. I just thought you just
Yeah.
grabbed on and bombed the hill, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I guess you can, but yeah, there's
Yeah, that's how you
definitely
get
a
hurt.
lot more in it. Okay. Have you included, how to, I won't get too far into the weeds with this actually. So then you can create the setup. There are required fields, which I have validations for. And this brings you, once you create a setup, it brings you to this sort of setup dashboard that has your fork clicks, your fork pressure, it uses a air spring, your different adjustments, your front and rear tires play a big part of this, your PSI. So this is basically, this basic display of your parameters. And I've got these navigation arrows, so you can kind of like cycle through all of your setups.
That's really cool.
And if you want to edit your setup, it'll bring you to a form similar to the create form, but it just retains the data, or what you call it.
How did you do the arrows going back and forth?
So I just did everything through CSS, and I used like the just like the emoji key for the actual arrow.
Mhm.
And then that was another part that was actually like ended up being something I would consider what's hard, like what was one of the hardest things, because through all this I've done 3 stacks now. I still get kind of like hung up and really like clunky, I guess, with the lower level abstraction. So I'll show you that. This probably took me days to figure out.
Yeah.
Manage setup. So, and this comes with like, I think, becoming more familiar with like the libraries and what they do. But for, the button, it's a function. You set the current index state, which is prev index. And then in order to, because the first malfunction I had was like, it would go into past the indexes of 0 or past how many I
Mhm.
had. So figuring this out, this formula, setting the index, so your current index -1 plus your setups length, which is like an array of setups, all the setups.
Mhm.
And then you add that to your index and then do a modulo to get a remainder. This kind of wraps it so it will not allow it to, it decrements your index, but if you're on index 0, this modulo will prevent it from going negative, for example.
Yeah, that's slick, yeah.
And then yeah, so stuff like that, like to me, I'm still trying to figure out, like, when people say like get really good at one language, I'm interpreting that now as, yeah, being really like fluent and familiar with these different library methods and things you can use just to define logic, because I still have to like, each project I do, I'm getting better at it, but I'm still having to reference previous projects to see how I did it, rather than like just being like, boom, I know, and just start typing.
Sure.
That's really hard and ends up taking a lot of time.
I do just
You
want
can
to point
delete
out
us.
you'll never, not to say you'll never, you can, I'm sure, and that you'll grow at it, but there's things I look up all the time that are very basic. And it's like a funny joke of senior devs. Nobody knows, one of the most Google things is how do I center a div? right? So if you know, you don't have to memorize
Yeah.
everything. I look up past stuff all the time. Even I've taught, you know, for years. I've taught the same material. It's grown a little bit, but same things over and over. I'm like, all right, what am I? Okay, I'm teaching on this today. What am I doing? Oh yeah, okay, boom. So
Yeah, it's like
it's
I'm like,
okay.
I guess managing imposter syndrome in that regard.
Yeah,
Like, cause I feel
that's
like I'm
exactly
like,
right.
dude, I don't know this. I'm just like regurgitating old stuff. But I mean, I guess it is kind of like nice to hear you say that and say like,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody has to continuously reference, and you're not necessarily, I guess, like expected to just be able to recall everything.
Yeah, that I mean, I literally launched the Flask program at Coding Dojo, and that was years ago. And I still, whenever I teach Python, I refer back. I'm like, how do I even create a virtual environment? What am I doing here? So
Yeah.
just to kind of lay out any expectations for you guys, that is a
It's
very
funny
common
you
thing.
said
And
how to
don't,
center a div because the amount of times I've had to, spend time to end up justifying center and justify content
yeah,
center. I'm like, yeah, well, why didn't that work?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, that's
the
a common thing. So give
Yep.
yourself some compassion.
Yeah, you can go through these, and then I'll show you. I'll just delete this one, and it's gone from my database now. If you want, I can show you that. But the last part of this is just like still building on this, which is a general FAQ section. Like, if someone needs to know, like when counting clicks, where do you start? Start by turning the dial all the way clockwise. And when you're maxed out, are you at one or are you at zero? Like these are all questions people always like kind of just get stuck on. So I started doing that. And basically I want this to end up being like something that could almost be a social network, because that would be the point of having these profiles. You could see and compare what other people are setting their bikes up like. This little logo links to home as well. I'd like to get more like put some more stuff on here. But for now, like for the sake of basically building out a page that has models and full CRUD and everything, this is basically what I came up with. And yeah, it was kind of cool. Passionate about riding, and as far as development goes, I'm really, to me, like a dream job would just be like developing UIs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Um, I mean, first off, this is great. I think it's aesthetically beautiful. I love the colors, even like the rounded edges. I think this is very, very, very cool. One thing I was thinking of, I think when you are, um, I think when you are doing your login, I believe, again, I'd have to go back and look at it. I believe you can pass in information to your token, including that of like in your token, you can have an ID. And so you'll have that. And then you can use that ID from your web token to make a call from your database with that ID and get the username. So for height, weight, skill level, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so like I started using the JWT like for, I guess, issuing a JSON web token, so I could
Mhm.
like basically call on that and start passing props through the web
Yeah.
token, like you're saying, the ID.
Yeah, so the platform will show, I just looked it up too. So this is on the login, log out part of MERN. So it's in the MERN auth section. And so your user token, you're using your JWT.sign. So you're basically making sure is everything okay. And if it is, then you are creating, your token, and in there you're going to pass an ID, and it's user._ID. And so then you'd have that information for it, and you can put that in props, or you could do whatever. But then you can, then do use effect and grab that information from your database from using that ID. So you can make a query, go grab that user,
Cool.
and then you could have username, height, weight. But again, that's on the, I'll put this in the chat if anybody wants to look at it. But you can just basically add that information to your token.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm like nearing like being able to
Yeah.
do that, but yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely underestimated how long even like this all takes. I feel like that's been the
Sure.
common theme so far, just like given the amount of time. So that's all good to learn, you know.
Yeah,
Sure I'll be able to cut down on the time this all took, but
sure.
yeah, this basically took me
Yeah.
like up until today.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. This is really great. Really great job. Really great. Okay. Thank you so much for doing that. Is Nathan here? Nathan is not here. Okay. Well, then I'm going to pause the recording. Is there anybody that hasn't gone? I think everybody's gone in here. Yeah. Everybody's gone. Okay. So I'm going to pause the recording.